Welcome everyone, this is Manisha. We are taking another chapter of Class 12 Political Science, which is Security in the Contemporary World. Let's take the overview first. In this chapter, we are going to study various security issues and that it is vital for the well-being of the country. The implications is that it is too important or secret to be debated and discussed openly. It introduces two different ways of looking at security and highlight the importance of keeping in mind different contexts or situations which determines our view of security. Let's start this chapter with a very common question. What is security? At its most basic, security implies freedom from threats. Our world would be saturated with security issues if we look such a broad view of what is threatening. Security relates only to extremely dangerous threats, threats that could be so endanger core values that those values would be damaged beyond repair if we did not do something to deal with the situation. We must admit that security remains a slippery idea. Let's talk about another topic, which is traditional notions. External notions of security. In the traditional conception of security, the greater danger to a country is from military threats. The sources of the danger is another country, which with threatening military acting endangers the core values of sovereignty, independence, and territory integrity. Military actions also endanger the lives of ordinary citizens. It is unlikely that in a war only soldiers will be hurt or killed. Quite often, ordinary men and women are made targets of war to break their support of the war. In responding to the threat of war, a government has three basic choices: to surrender, to prevent the other side from attacking by promising to raise the cost of war to an unacceptable level, and the third situation is to defend itself when war actually breaks out so as to deny the attacking country its objective and to turn back or defeat its attacking from force together. Security policy is concerned with preventing wars, which is called deterrence, and with limiting or ending war, which is called defense. Remember these two keywords, deterrence and defense. Let's talk about balance of power. Balance of power. When countries look around them, they see that some countries are bigger and stronger. This is clue to who might be a threat in the future. Government are therefore very sensitive to be balance of power between their country and other countries. They do work hard to maintain a favorable balance of power with other countries, especially those which whom they have difference or with those they have had conflicts in the past. A good part of maintaining a balance of power is to build up one's military power, although economic and technological power are also important since they are the basic for military power. A fourth and related component of traditional security policy is alliances building. An alliances is a coalition of states that coordinates their actions to deter or defend against military attacks. Countries form alliances to increase their effective power relative to another country or alliances. Alliances are based on national interest and can change even national interest change. For example, US backed the Islamic militants in Afghanistan against the USSR in 1980s. Another topic is traditional notions. The very first heading is internal. Internal traditional notions. Traditionally, security must also therefore concern itself with internal security. After the Second World War, there was a contest and situation in which internal security did not seem to matter as much as it had in the past. European countries, Western, faced no serious threats from groups or communities living within those borders. Some European powers, in addition, continued to worry about violence in their colonies from colonized people who wanted independence, therefore, had to worry about the Cold War becoming a hot war and dragging them into hostilities against neighbors who might have joined the other side in the Cold War. The new countries faced the prospect of military conflicts with neighboring countries. For another, they had to worry about internal defense and military conflicts. These countries have faced threats not only from outside their borders, mostly from neighbors, but also from within. Another topic is security and cooperation. Traditional security and cooperation. In traditional security, there is a recognition that cooperation is limiting violence is possible. War must also be limited in terms of means that used. Armies must avoid killing or hurting non-combatants as well as unarmed and surrendering combatants. In the context of this, in 1972 Biological Weapon Convention, which was known as BWC, and in 1992 Chemical Weapon Convention, CWC, was signed, banned the production and possessions of these weapons. Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty (ABM) Treaty 1972 tried to stop the US and USSR from using ballistic missiles as a defensive shield to launch a nuclear attack. USA and USSR signed a number of other arms control treaties, including the Strategic Arm Limitation Treaty II and START. The Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty (NPT) of 1968 was an arms control treaty in the sense that it regulates the acquisition of nuclear weapons. Traditional security also accept confidence building as a means of avoiding violation. Confidence building is a process in which countries share ideas and information with their rivals. In traditional security, forces is both the principal threat to security and the principal means of achieving security. Another topic is non-traditional notions. Proponents of non-traditional security reply not just the state but also individuals or communities or indeed all the humankind. Non-traditional views of security have been called human security or global security. Human security. What is human security? Human security is about the protection of people from more than the protection of states. Secure states do not automatically mean secure peoples. Protecting citizens from foreign attacks may be a necessary condition for the security of individuals. Proponents of the narrow concept of human security focus on violent threats to individuals or as former UN Security General Kofi Annan put it about the human securities, the protection of communities and individuals from internal violence. In its broadest formulation, the human security agenda also encompasses economic security and threats to human dignity. Put differently, the broadest formulation stresses what has been called freedom from want and freedom from fear, respectively. The idea of global security. What is global security? Global security emerged in the 1990s in response to the global nature of threats such as global warming, international terrorism, and health epidemics like AIDS and bird flu. Another topic is new sources of threats. The non-traditionally now conception, both human security and global security, focus on the changing nature of threats to security. First of all, talk about terrorism. Refers to political violence that targets civilizations deliberately and indiscriminately. International terrorism involves the citizens or territory of more than one country. Terrorism groups seek to change a political context or condition that they do not like by force or threats of force. Classic cases of terrorism involves hijacking planes or planting bombs in train, cafes, markets, and other crowded places. You maybe remember the that incident of 26/9 in America. Let's talk about human rights. It have come to be classified into three types. First type is political rights such as freedom of speech and assembly. Second type is economic rights and social rights. Third type is the right to colonize people or ethnic and indigenous minorities. UN Charter empower the international community to take up arms in defense of human rights. The powerful state will determine which instances of humankind's violations the UN will act upon. Global poverty is another source of insecurity. High per capita income and low population growth make rich states more richer and a poor state more poorer. Such groups get richer. Whereas talk about like migration, states are generally supported to accept refugees, but they do not have to accept migration. People who have fled their homes but remains with national borders are called integrally displaced people. I'm repeating again, states are generally supported to accept refugees, but they do not have to accept migrants. People who have fled their homes but remained within the border are called internally displaced peoples. Let's talk about health epidemics. Health epidemics such as HIV/AIDS, bird flu, severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS. I'm repeating again, severe acute respiratory syndrome, which was known as SARS, have rapidly spread across the world through migrants, business, tourism, and military cooperation. Epidemics among animals have major economic effects. The concept of security stands to lose its coherence. Everything could become a security issue. They represent a state or groups of people. Non-traditionally conception of security, like traditional conception of security, vary according to local context. Cooperative security. Let's talk about cooperative security. Cooperative may be bilateral. That means between any two countries, regional and international or global. Cooperative security may also involve a variety of other players, both traditional and non-traditional organizations such as the UN, the World Health Organization, the World Bank, and the IMF, etc. Non-government organizations such as Amnesty International, the Red Cross, private foundations, charities, churches, religious organizations, trade unions, associations, social and development organizations. Businesses and corporations engage personalities, example Mother Teresa and Nelson Mandela. Cooperative security may issues the use of forces as a last resort. Another major important topic is India's security strategy. India has faced traditional military and non-traditional threats to its security that have emerged from within as well as outside its border. Security has four broad components which have been used in a varying combination from time to time. The first component was strengthening its military capabilities because India has been involved in conflicts with its neighbors. The second component of India's security strategy has been to strengthen international norms and international institutions to protect its security interests. The third component of Indian security strategy is geared towards meeting security challenges within the country. And the last and final is there has been attempts in India to develop its economy in a way that vast masses of mass citizens are lifted out of poverty and misery, and huge economic inequalities are not allowed to exist. With this, we have come to an end of this chapter. I hope you found this video informative. Till then, catch you guys in the next video. Thank you.